Listen to me. Listen very well. Never let strangers feed your children. Never. Because in some towns, kindness is the first step to losing your child's soul. One hot afternoon in a small town called Ifewara, where the dust dances in the sun and the trees bend from the weight of heat, a woman named Ade made a choice that would haunt her for the rest of her days. Her name was Ade, but everyone called her Ade. She was a strong woman, the kind of woman who woke up before the roosters, sold vegetables by the roadside, and still found strength to love her son with every piece of her broken heart. Her son's name was Tunde. He was 6 years old. He had eyes like his father, wide, curious eyes that looked at the world as if everything in it was good and beautiful. Tunde's father had left when the boy was just 3 years old. He never sent money. He never came back. So it was just Ade and Tunde fighting together against hunger, against poverty, against the weight of a world that didn't care much about poor mothers and their children. On this particular day, Ade was struggling. The market had been slow. She had only made enough money to buy rice and beans for their dinner. Her body ached. Her feet hurt from standing all day under the sun, and she had to run to the market to buy medicine for her mother, who lived 3 compounds away. The medicine was expensive. Money was tight. Every naira counted. "Tunde, my son," Ade said, her voice tired but loving. "Mama has to run quickly to the pharmacy. I will be back in just a few minutes. You stay right here at Mama Zainab's kiosk. Eat a little bit of the groundnut if you are hungry. Do not go anywhere. Do you hear, Mama?" Tunde nodded. He was sitting on a small wooden stool outside Mama Zainab's roadside kiosk, a small shop that sold everything: snacks, drinks, cigarettes, phone credits, everything. Mama Zainab was a good woman, trusted by the whole community. She watched children sometimes. Ade felt safe leaving Tunde there, or at least that is what she told herself. Ade kissed her son on the forehead, the way mothers do, and hurried down the dusty road toward the pharmacy. She did not notice that the wind had stopped blowing. She did not notice that the birds in the mango tree had suddenly gone quiet. She did not notice the temperature of the air had changed, becoming thick and heavy, like the air before a storm. 5 minutes after Ade left, something changed. An old woman appeared on the road. She came from nowhere, the way people do in stories that are true but feel like they should not be. She wore a long faded wrapper tied around her waist, and her skin was like leather that had seen too many years of sun. Her hair was white like smoke. Her eyes were kind, so very kind that they made you want to trust her immediately, the way you trust your grandmother even when your bones are telling you to be careful. But what was most strange about this woman was the smell around her. She smelled like rain. Not the rain that falls after heat, the rain that comes with lightning and thunder. No. She smelled like the rain that falls at midnight, the rain that people say comes from the spirit world, the rain that washes things from places we cannot see. Mama Zena was inside her kiosk, serving another customer. The old woman walked straight to Tunde. She smiled. Her smile was so warm, so genuine, that Tunde felt comfortable immediately. "Hello, my child," the woman said. Her voice sounded like wind moving through dry leaves. "What is your name?" "I am Tunde," the boy said, looking up at her with those trusting eyes. "Tunde," the woman repeated, as if she was tasting the name in her mouth, as if she was holding it carefully, the way you hold something precious. "What a beautiful name. Tell me, Tunde, are you hungry? I have something very special, something that will make you strong, something that will make you happy." And from her wrapper, the old woman pulled out a small package wrapped in green leaves. Inside were beautiful golden sweets, each one shaped like a tiny hand, each one glowing slightly in the sunlight. Tunde's eyes widened. He had never seen sweets like this before. They were too perfect to be real. "These are for you," the woman said. "Eat them, just one. It will make your day beautiful." Tunde reached out his hand. He did not know why his hand was shaking. He did not know why his chest suddenly felt tight. Children know things, you see. Their spirits know things that their minds do not yet understand. But his hunger was greater than his fear. His loneliness was deeper than his doubt. He took the sweet. He put it in his mouth. He did not know that he had just eaten something that would change everything. His voice, his memory, his dreams, his soul itself. He did not know that the old woman was not old, was not a woman, and was not kind. He did not know that she was something else entirely. But his mother did not know it either. And that was the real tragedy. When the old woman vanished, as suddenly as she had appeared, Tunde sat very still. His eyes began to change color, just a little, just for a moment, just enough for anyone who was really paying attention to notice that something was terribly, terribly wrong. When Ade returned to the kiosk 15 minutes later, running because she was scared she had left her son too long, her heart was already beating too fast. She could feel it in her chest, pounding like drums of warning. She did not know why. She just knew something was wrong. Tunde was sitting exactly where she had left him, on the same wooden stool, his hands in his lap, his eyes looking forward to nothing. "Tunde!" Ade called out, her voice rising with worry. "My son, are you okay?" Tunde turned to look at her slowly, so slowly, and when he turned, Ade felt her blood turn to ice in her veins. His eyes were different, not the warm, curious eyes she had known all his life. These were eyes that belonged to someone else, something else, and they were looking at her with no recognition. "Tunde!" she said again. This time her voice was smaller, shakier. She knelt down in front of him. She reached out and touched his forehead. He was burning hot. His skin was on fire. "Hello," Tunde said, but the voice that came out was not his voice. It was deeper. It sounded like an old man's voice coming from a child's mouth. The sound of it made every hair on Ade's skin stand up like she had been struck by lightning. "My baby," Ade said, whispering. She pulled him close. His body was stiff. He did not hug her back. He did not call her mama. He just sat there stiff like a wooden door. "Who are you?" she asked him over and over. "Tell mama. Who are you? Where is my Tunde? Where is my son?" But the thing sitting on the mat that looked like her son could not answer, or would not. Ade could not tell which was worse. She did not sleep that night. She sat beside him, her hands shaking, her mind racing. She thought about taking him to the hospital, but she had no money. She thought about calling for help, but who would believe her? A mother and her son, and a strange old woman who gave him sweets? They would laugh at her. They would say she was crazy. But Ade was not crazy. She was a mother watching her child disappear inside himself, watching his soul be replaced by something that wore his body like a borrowed coat. By morning, Tunde's body began to change. His skin turned very pale, almost grey. His nails began to crack and turn black at the edges, like they were rotting. His breathing became shallow. He made small sounds, not quite like words, not quite like anything human. Ade did something she had never done before. She walked to the edge of the town, where the old houses stood, where the forest began, where people said the spirits lived. She walked to the home of the herbalist. His name was Baba Yanda. He was very old, so old that no one could remember how long he had been alive. His skin was like tree bark. His eyes were like they had seen centuries of things. He lived alone in a house that smelled like dried leaves, like smoke, like things that had been cooking for a long time in pots made of clay. When Ade burst through his door, wild-eyed and desperate, Baba Yanda did not look surprised. He had seen this look before. He had seen mothers like Ade before, many times. "My son," Ade said, her words tumbling like rain. "Something has happened to my son. A woman gave him food. Now he does not recognize me. He does not speak with his own voice. He does not eat. He does not sleep. I think he is dying. Please, Baba, please help me. I do not have much money, but I will give you everything I have." Baba Yanda stood up slowly, leaning heavily on his walking stick. He said, "Show me the boy." When they arrived back at Ade's home, Baba Yanda took one look at Tunde and his face became very serious. He closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them again, there was sadness in them. "This is not a sickness," he said quietly. This is the work of a spirit, a woman spirit, one of the old ones. She comes to mothers who are careless with their children. She trades their souls for wealth. The mother becomes rich. The child becomes less than alive. No, Ade shook her head. No, you are wrong. There must be something else. Tell me it is something else. I am not wrong, Baba Yanda said. And I can help. But it will take time. It will take prayer. It will take 3 nights and 3 days. And it will hurt. Hurt? Ade asked, what do you mean it will hurt? The spirit does not want to let go. The exchange is not complete yet. The boy's soul is still fighting to return. If we pull the spirit out too fast, it will fight back. It will try to take the boy with it into the spirit world. We must be gentle. We must be strong. We must not stop. Ade looked down at her son. She looked at the boy who had her husband's eyes, who had lived inside her body, who had drunk her milk, who was supposed to become a man and have his own children. I will do anything, she said. Her voice was steady now, determined now, like iron. I will do anything to save my son.
Baba Iyanda told Ade to bring Tunde to his house at sunset. She wrapped her son in a cloth, the way you wrap someone who is about to die, and she carried him through the streets. People looked away. They did not want to see this. In towns like Ifewara, people know when something is being touched by the spirit world. They know to stay away. They know to mind their business. When they arrived at Baba Iyanda's house, the sun was turning red on the horizon. The old herbalist had prepared his room. The walls were covered with plants, dried leaves, roots, flowers that Ade had never seen before. There were small gourds of liquid everywhere, each one a different color. There were candles made of things that were not wax. When they burned, they made the air smell like burning bones and ancient earth. What do I do? Ade asked. You stay, Baba Iyanda said. You stay and you do not leave. No matter what you hear, no matter what you see, you do not leave your son. Do you understand? Ade nodded. Baba Iyanda began to chant. The sounds that came from his mouth were not words in any language that Ade knew. They were older than words. They were the sounds that things made before humans had language. The sounds of wind, of water, of spirits calling to each other across the darkness. As he chanted, he began to apply things to Tunde's body. Liquids that smelled like fire, powders that made the boy's skin turn red, leaves that he crushed and put on Tunde's forehead, his chest, his hands. And then Tunde began to scream. It was not a child's scream. It was the scream of something ancient and angry. It was the scream of something that did not want to let go. The scream filled the room, filled the night, filled the world. Ade reached for her son, but Baba Iyanda held up his hand. Do not touch him, he commanded. If you touch him, it will pull you in. The spirit will take you both. So Ade had to sit. Ade had to listen. Ade had to watch as her son's body convulsed on the mat, as his eyes rolled back in his head, and a voice that was not his voice came out of his mouth. A voice that was angry, that was bitter, that was ancient. You cannot have him, the voice screamed. He is mine. His mother gave him to me. His mother left him alone. He belongs to me now. He belongs to his mother, Baba Iyanda said, his voice steady, his chanting never stopping. He belongs to the earth. He belongs to the light. You have no power here. You are not welcome. You must go back. I will not go, the voice screamed. I have taken what I came for. His innocence, his trust, these things are mine now, and when I am finished with him, I will take his mother too. Ade felt her blood turn to ice. She wanted to run. Every part of her wanted to run, but she stayed. She sat. She watched. She was her son's witness in the darkness. All through the night, the battle continued. Baba Iyanda chanted. The spirit screamed. Tunde's body moved in ways that bodies should not move, and Ade's tears fell, one after another, like rain. Near dawn, something changed. The spirit screams became weaker. The chanting became louder, and slowly, so slowly, Tunde's body began to still. His eyes stopped rolling, his screams became quieter, and finally, silence fell. Baba Yanda stopped chanting. He was breathing heavily, as if he had been running. Sweat covered his face, his hands were shaking. It is almost done, but not yet. Tomorrow night we do this again, and the night after, 3 nights, the spirit must be convinced to let go completely. Will he survive? Ade asked, her voice broken. Yes, Baba Yanda said, your son will survive, but a part of him will be changed forever. The spirit has touched him. He will remember somewhere deep inside that he was touched by darkness. Even when he forgets the details, his spirit will know. He will carry this with him always. Ade looked down at her son. He was sleeping now, his face peaceful, but there was something in his face that had not been there before. Something older, something sadder. She reached down and touched his forehead. This time, his skin was cool. This time, it felt like her son again. But she knew the truth. Nothing would ever be the same. The second night was worse than the first. The spirit fought harder, screamed louder, made promises and threats. It told Tunde's mother that she would make her rich if she would just let go, just let the exchange happen, just accept the deal. I do not want to be rich, Ade shouted at the darkness. I want my son. I want my son. And she meant it. She meant every word. No amount of money, no amount of wealth, no amount of comfort could replace the boy she had carried in her body, the boy she had birthed into the world, the boy who was her reason for living. The third night was the longest night of Ade's life. But by the time the sun rose on the third morning, something had changed in the room. The air felt lighter, the darkness felt less heavy. And when Baba Yanda stopped chanting and Tunde opened his eyes and looked at his mother and whispered, Mama, in his own voice, in his own beautiful voice, Ade collapsed and wept. Her son had come home. But coming home was not the same as being home. That is something no one told Ade, and it is something that all mothers who survive these kinds of trials learn the hard way. Tunde's body had returned, his voice had returned, but something inside him was different. The healers call it soul shock. It is what happens when a child's spirit goes to a place it was never meant to go and comes back before it is ready. In the days that followed, Ade noticed small things. Tunde would not eat unless Ade had prepared the food with her own hands and tasted it first, herself. Sometimes he would do this, watch her mother taste every bite before he would touch it. And his eyes would follow her hands, watching, always watching, to make sure nothing was being hidden in the food. No special ingredients, no magic, no tricks. He would not sleep through the night. Instead, he would wake up screaming, his body covered in sweat, his eyes wide with terror from dreams he could not remember. Ade would hold him, rock him, whisper to him that he was safe, that the bad thing was gone. But they both knew it was not entirely true. Part of the bad thing lived in him now, in his bones, in his blood, in the deepest parts of him. He began to refuse to go anywhere, not to the market, not to the village square, not to visit his grandmother. If Ade left him alone for even a few minutes, he would panic. His breathing would become fast and shallow. His chest would start to hurt, and he would call for his mother with such desperation that it broke her heart. Do not leave me, he would whisper. Please do not leave me. Do not leave me with anyone. So Ade stopped leaving him. She carried him to market on her back, the way she did when he was a baby. She took him everywhere with her, his little arms around her neck, his little face hidden against her shoulder. The other mothers looked at her strangely. They did not understand. Weeks passed, then months. Slowly, very slowly, Tunde began to return to himself. His laugh came back first. Not the bright, easy laugh of a child, but a laugh that was quieter, more careful, more aware that the world could hurt him. His smile came back next. It was smaller than it used to be, but it was real. It came from a place inside him that had decided that maybe, just maybe, life was worth smiling about again. But he never fully let go of his fear of food from strangers, and he never fully let go of his need to know where his mother was at all times. Some things, once taken, can never be fully returned. One day, about 3 months after the night of the 3 chantings, Ade was sitting with Tunde in their small compound. He was playing with a piece of wood, not quite a toy, not quite nothing. She was washing clothes, her hands moving in the water automatically, her mind somewhere else. Tunde said, "Mama." Ade replied, "Yes, my baby." "Why did the woman want to take me?" he asked. His voice was innocent, but his eyes were old now. So old. Ade stopped washing. She set down the cloth in the water, and she turned to look at her son, and she chose her words very carefully because she knew that the words she spoke now would live in her child forever. Because,
she said, your mama made a mistake. Your mama was busy and tired and did not protect you the way I should have, and the spirit world saw an opportunity. Are you angry at yourself? Tunde asked. Yes, Ade said. I am angry at myself every single day. I will be angry at myself for the rest of my life. But I am also grateful that you are still here. And I am grateful that I learned a lesson that I will never forget. Tunde nodded slowly. He was 6 years old, but he understood. Children understand more than we give them credit for. I will never let anyone feed me again, he said, unless it is you. I know, Ade said. She pulled her son close. She smelled his hair, which smelled like the sun and the earth and something clean. She held him like he was made of glass, like he might break, like he was the most precious thing in the world. Because he was. That evening, Ade gathered the women of the village together. She told them everything. She told them about the woman who appeared like smoke. She told them about the sweets that were not really sweets. She told them about the 3 nights of screaming. She told them about her son's soul being nearly taken away. And she told them something else. Feed your own children and don't allow them accept food from strangers, she said, her voice steady and strong. Even if all you have is water, even if the only food you can give them is rice and salt, even if you have nothing but your own hands and the love in your heart, feed your own children. Do not let anyone else do it for you. Do not trust kindness from strangers when it comes to the children. The spirit world is watching. It is always watching. The women listened. The women understood. Because they knew that Ade was not speaking from fear. She was speaking from experience. She was speaking from pain.
Years passed. Tunde grew. He became a teenager. He became a young man. On the surface, he was normal. He went to school. He made friends. He laughed with the other boys. He played football in the square. But Ade knew the truth. There were things about her son that were different. There were scars on him that no one could see. He would never eat food that he did not prepare himself. Even as a teenager, even as a young man, he would watch his food being prepared with careful eyes. He would taste it slowly, as if checking for poison. Other young men would tease him about it, but Tunde did not care. He had learnt a long time ago that being careful was better than being sorry. He would never spend the night away from home without his mother. Other boys would go on trips, would stay with friends, would sleep under the stars. But Tunde always needed to come home. Always needed to know that his mother was near. It was not that he was weak. It was that he had learned that the world was not a safe place for children, and that sometimes the most dangerous things came in the form of a kind smile. He would never trust a stranger's generosity when it involved food or drink. If an older person offered him something to eat, his first instinct was to refuse. It took years for him to learn to be polite about it. It took even longer for him to understand that not every kind gesture was dangerous. But the biggest scar was the one that lived in the deepest part of him. It was the knowledge, the absolute certainty that there were things in the world that wore the shape of humans but were not human. Things that would walk and talk and smile. Things that could look like your grandmother or your aunt or a kind old woman.
things that wanted to take children away from their mothers. And he lived with that knowledge every single day. Ade too carried scars that no one could see. She became overprotective. Some people whispered that she was too much, that she did not let her son live his own life, that she was paranoid and strange. But Ade did not care what people said. She had almost lost her son. She had stared into the face of darkness and seen it looking back at her with her child's eyes. She had felt her soul nearly ripped out of her body when she realized what had happened. Nothing in the world could convince her to relax her guard. Nothing could convince her to trust a stranger with her child. She had paid too high a price to learn this lesson. She had almost paid with her son's life. When Tunde was 15 years old, a kind woman moved into the house next door. She was friendly. She always smiled at Ade. She often offered to watch Tunde while Ade went to market. No, Ade would say politely but firmly. Thank you, but no. Why not? The woman asked. Do you not trust me? I do not know you, and I do not leave my son with people I do not know. We are neighbors, she said. I see you every day. That is not the same. That is not enough. I have learned that kindness is not always what it seems, and my son is too precious to risk. The woman thought Ade was strange. Most people in the town thought Ade was strange, but Ade did not care what people said. She was her son's guardian. She was her protector, and she would never, ever make the same mistake twice. On the day that Tunde turned 18, Ade sat down with him. They were sitting under the mango tree in their compound, the same tree where she used to leave him when he was small. Do you remember? She asked. Yes, he said. I remember. I am sorry, she said. I am sorry that I left you. I am sorry that I was not there. I am sorry that you had to go through that darkness. Tunde took his mother's hand. He was a young man now, taller than her, stronger than her, but in that moment, he was still her little boy. You saved me, he said. You found me in the darkness and you brought me home. You do not need to be sorry. You did everything you could. But I should have known better, Ade said. I should have been more careful. You did the best you could, Tunde said. And I am here. I am alive. I am whole. That is all that matters. Ade cried. She cried the way mothers cry when they remember how close they came to losing everything. And Tunde held his mother, and they sat together under the mango tree as the sun went down. Now I must tell you the ending of this story. Not because the story ends, but because the message begins. Ade is an old woman now. Her hair is grey. Her hands are marked with the lines of time and hard work, but her eyes are still sharp. Her mind is still clear, and she has never, not for a single day, forgotten the lesson that was written into her heart in blood and tears. Tunde is a grown man now. He has children of his own. And do you know what he does? He feeds his children. He prepares their food with his own hands. He tastes every bite before they eat. He teaches his children to never accept food from anyone except their parents. He tells them the story, not to frighten them, but to teach them, to make them wise, to make them safe. And in the town of Ifewara, the story spread. Mother to daughter, woman to woman, old woman to young mother. The story of Ade and Tunde became a warning, became a lesson, became a truth that every parent understood. Feed your own children, Ade tells people now. She sits in the square and she tells her story to anyone who will listen. Feed your own children, even if all you have is water. Even if you have nothing but your hands and your love, feed your own children. Do not leave them with strangers. Do not let strangers touch their food. Do not believe that kindness from a stranger is always real kindness. Sometimes the kindest looking face is the most dangerous. And the women listen. The young mothers listen. The grandmothers listen. Because they know that Ade is not telling them a fantasy. She's telling them a truth that exists in the real world, in the seen world and the unseen world, in the daylight and in the darkness. Ade knows that there are people who will say she's crazy. There are people who will say that spirits and soul stealing are things of the past, things that do not happen anymore in the modern world. But Ade just smiles at these people. She smiles because she has lived. She has suffered. She has learned. The pain she felt was real. The change in her son was real. The fear that lived in her heart was real. And the lesson was real. That is what I want to tell you today, my friend. That is why I'm sharing this story with you. Because somewhere in your family, there may be a mother who is about to make the same mistake that Ade made. I am begging you to feed your own children, to watch over them, to protect them, not because the world is always evil, not because every person who smiles at your child is a threat, but because you can never be completely sure. Because the cost of being wrong is too high. The world is beautiful, but it is also mysterious. And there are things in the mysterious parts that we do not fully understand. Things that can hurt our children if we are not careful. The cost is the soul of your child. The cost is your own peace of mind. The cost is a pain that will live with you forever. So now I ask you, if you have watched this story until now, if you have listened to Ade's pain, if you have felt the weight of this truth, then please share this story with someone. Tell a mother, tell a grandmother, tell anyone who has children in their care. Tell them to feed their own children. Tell them to be careful. Tell them that strangers are not always what they seem. And if you have not yet pressed that subscribe button, press it now, because there are more stories like this, more truths that need to be told, more lessons that have been learned through pain and suffering.